The rain-slicked streets of Seattle glistened under the October moon, a chill biting through Ethan Carter's worn leather jacket as he locked the heavy oak door of Cascade Hops, his brewery. At 42, Ethan was a man forged by fire, literally as a former firefighter who'd traded sirens for the hum of fermenters. His hands, calloused from years of battling blazes and now crafting IPAs, jingled the keys in his pocket. It was October 15, 2025, and the city's damp air carried a restless edge, mirroring the unease in his gut. Lauren, his wife of 15 years, had texted she'd be organizing the brewery office tonight. Ethan pictured her auburn hair tied back, her warm smile, maybe a stout poured for him. The thought softened the ache of a 14-hour shift, the faint tang of hops still clinging to his skin. Cascade Hops was more than a business, it was Ethan's soul, built from late nights and loans, a testament to his grit after the firehouse. Lauren had been there from the start, her laugh echoing through their first batch, her hand in his as they toasted under a stormy sky. He clung to that memory as he crossed the gravel lot, his boots crunching, the neon signs buzz fading behind him. The office, a small room tucked behind the taproom, glowed faintly through its fogged window. Ethan's heart lifted, maybe she'd surprise him with that old playlist they loved, Tom Petty crooning through the speakers. But as he neared, a low murmur stopped him cold. Not Lauren's voice, deeper, rougher, a man's. His pulse quickened, a firefighter's instinct kicking in, the kind that sensed danger before seeing it. He eased the door open, the hinges silent from years of his oiling. The office smelled of paper and pine cleaner, but something else, musk, sharp and wrong. In the dim light of a desk lamp, Lauren stood too close to a man Ethan didn't recognize, their heads bent over a stack of papers. Her hand rested on his arm, her lips parted in a whisper. The man, broad-shouldered with a slick ponytail and a scar slicing his brow, grinned like he owned her. "Vince, we need to move fast," Lauren murmured, her voice low, urgent. "He's always here, but tomorrow he's out." Ethan's stomach lurched, his keys slipping from his hand, clattering on the hardwood. Lauren spun, her green eyes wide, her face draining to chalk. "Ethan," she gasped, stepping back, her hand flying to her chest. The man, Vince, straightened, his grin twisting into something colder, his hand sliding to his belt. Ethan's voice rasped, raw with disbelief. "What the hell is this?" Lauren stammered, "It's just work, I swear." But her trembling hands betrayed her, clutching a folder that spilled papers, insurance forms, Ethan's signature forged in her looping scrawl. Vince chuckled, a low growl, and pulled a sleek object from his waistband, a pistol, its barrel glinting like a viper's fang. "Easy, pal," he said, leveling it at Ethan's chest. "Don't make this messy." Ethan froze, his heart hammering, the air thick with betrayal. His eyes darted to Lauren, searching for the woman he'd loved, the one who'd kissed him under that rainy sky. "Lauren, talk. Now." His voice cracked, rage and hurt colliding. She shook her head, tears welling. "You're never home, Ethan. The brewery, it's all you care about." "I was lonely and Vince," he listened. "Listened?" Ethan snapped, his fists clenching. "To what, your plan to screw me over?" He gestured at the papers, his signature a mocking ghost. Vince stepped closer, the gun steady, his scar catching the light. "She's done with you, Carter. And this place? It's worth more burned than standing. 3 million, to be exact." Ethan's blood ran cold. Burned? His brewery, his life's work, reduced to an insurance payout? He lunged forward, instinct overriding fear, but Vince was faster, shoving the gun's muzzle against Ethan's shoulder. "Back off, hero," he snarled. Lauren cried out, "Vince, don't," her voice shrill, her hands flailing as if to stop him. But her eyes, those eyes Ethan had trusted, flickered with something darker, a calculation that cut deeper than any bullet. The door behind Ethan creaked, and Mia, a regular with a knack for lingering past closing, poked her head in. "Ethan, you okay?" Her gaze landed on the gun, her phone already in hand, fingers poised to dial. Vince cursed, shoving Lauren toward the back exit. "Move," he barked, and they bolted, papers scattering like leaves, the door slamming behind them. Ethan stumbled after, his shoulder throbbing where the gun had pressed, his mind reeling. Mia's voice followed, sharp with panic. "I'm calling 911. He reached the lot, rain pelting his face, just in time to see taillights vanish into the mist. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Leave Seattle, or you'll burn with it." Ethan's breath hitched, his fingers trembling as he stared at the words. The brewery's neon flickered, casting jagged shadows, and in that moment, he knew this wasn't just betrayal. It was war. Lauren wasn't just cheating, she was plotting to destroy him. But why? And how deep did her lies run? He clutched the phone, rain mixing with the sweat on his brow, and vowed to uncover the truth no matter the cost. The Seattle rain had turned to a relentless drizzle by the early hours of October 16, 2025, soaking Ethan Carter's jacket as he stood in the shadowed lot of Cascade Hops, his brewery. The neon sign buzzed faintly, its glow a cruel reminder of the life he'd built, now teetering on the edge of ruin. At 42, Ethan was no stranger to crisis, his firefighter days teaching him to breathe through panic, but this was different. His wife, Lauren, had betrayed him, caught whispering plans with Vince, a scarred ex-con, to torch the brewery for a $3 million insurance payout. The gun Vince pressed to Ethan's shoulder still burned in his memory, as did Lauren's eyes, calculating, not remorseful. And that text, "Leave Seattle or you'll burn with it." Ethan's grip tightened on his phone, his knuckles white, the words searing his mind like a brand. He'd sent Mia, the regular who'd interrupted the standoff, home with a shaky nod, promising to handle it. The cops were on their way, but Ethan couldn't wait. He needed answers now. The brewery's office, still reeking of pine cleaner and betrayal, was his first stop. Papers littered the floor, Lauren's forged signatures glaring from insurance forms. Ethan's chest tightened as he scooped them up, his eyes catching a handwritten note tucked beneath. Confirm October 16th, backlot, 2 a.m. tomorrow. His pulse spiked. Whatever they planned, it was happening soon. Ethan's boots thudded as he moved to the brewery's security system, a clunky setup he'd installed on a budget. The monitor flickered to life, showing grainy footage from the past week. He scrolled, his heart pounding, until he froze on October 12th. There, in the office, Lauren perched on the desk, her auburn hair loose, Vince pacing behind her, phone to his ear. "He's out tomorrow," Lauren said, her voice tinny through the speakers. "Torch it clean, we cash out." Vince nodded, muttering, $3 million splits nice. Ethan's jaw clenched, his fist slamming the desk, rattling a coffee mug. His brewery, his soul, was just a dollar sign to her. The footage cut deeper when Lauren leaned into Vince, her hand brushing his arm, a smile Ethan hadn't seen in years. He rewound, watched again, each frame a knife twist. How long had this been brewing? He remembered her late nights, balancing books, her distant stares. He blamed his long shifts, thought they'd fix it with time. Fool. Another clip, from October 14th, showed Vince in the back lot, inspecting propane tanks, his scarred face lit by a cigarette's glow. Ethan's stomach churned, those tanks could turn the brewery into a fireball. Sirens wailed in the distance, but Ethan was already moving, grabbing a flashlight from the office drawer. The back lot, a cramped space of crates and barrels, was dark, the rain masking any sound. He swept the beam across the ground, his boots sinking into mud until it caught a glint, zip ties, fresh, looped around a propane valve. His breath hitched. Sabotage? He crouched, his fingers brushing the cold metal when a crunch of gravel snapped his head up. A figure loomed, Vince, his ponytail slick with rain, a crowbar in one hand, his eyes glinting like a predator's. "Should have left, Carter," Vince growled, stepping closer, the crowbar tapping his palm. Ethan stood, flashlight steady, his firefighter instincts locking in. "What's the game, Vince?" "Burn my life for a payout." Vince's laugh was sharp, bitter. "Lauren's idea, pal. She's done playing house with a beer-slinging has-been." Ethan's blood boiled, but he held still, the flashlight's beam fixed on Vince's scar. "She's lying to you too," Ethan shot back. "You're just the muscle." Vince's grin faltered, his grip tightening on the crowbar. "Shut it," he snapped, lunging. Ethan dodged, the crowbar grazing his sleeve, tearing fabric with a rip. He swung the flashlight, cracking Vince's wrist, the crowbar clattering to the mud. Vince cursed, clutching his hand, but his other fist connected with Ethan's jaw, a burst of pain blurring his vision. Ethan staggered, tasting blood, and tackled Vince, both crashing into a crate, wood splintering under their weight. "Where's Lauren?" Ethan roared, pinning Vince's arm, his knee on the man's chest. Vince wheezed, his voice a rasp. "Hiding, like always." "Check the taproom, she's waiting." "Waiting?" Ethan's mind raced, was she setting him up again? Headlights flashed, tires screeching as a cop car pulled into the lot, red and blue lights cutting the rain. Vince shoved Ethan off, scrambling to his feet, and bolted toward the alley, his boots splashing mud. Ethan lurched after, but a cop's shout freeze halted him, hands raised, heart hammering. The taproom's glass doors glinted as Ethan, released after a quick explanation, pushed inside, the cops fanning out to search. The air smelled of hops and polished wood, but a faint whiff of gasoline stung his nose. His flashlight swept the bar, landing on Lauren, slumped in a booth, her face pale, a bottle of his best stout clutched in her trembling hands. "Ethan," she whispered, her eyes red-rimmed, "I didn't mean for this." Her voice cracked, but Ethan's trust was ash. "Save it," he snapped, stepping closer, the gasoline scent stronger. "You plan to burn it all." "For him." Lauren shook her head, tears spilling. Vince forced me. He knew things from my past. I had no choice. Her words rang hollow, her hands shaking as she set the bottle down, its label peeling. Ethan's gaze dropped, a rag, damp and reeking of fuel, stuffed under the booth. His heart stopped. You did this, he said, voice low, lethal. She sobbed. I'm sorry, Ethan, I wanted us to start over. Start over? With his brewery in flames? A faint crackle came from the back lot and Ethan's head snapped toward the sound. Smoke curled under the door, thin but growing, the acrid bite of burning wood hitting his lungs. Fire, he yelled, grabbing Lauren's arm, pulling her toward the exit. She resisted, her nails digging into his wrist. Let me go, she shrieked, but Ethan dragged her outside, the cops shouting, radios crackling. Flames licked the lot's edge, propane tanks glinting ominously in the firelight. Ethan's phone buzzed again, another text. You were warned. His blood ran cold. Lauren's past, Vince's threats, the fire, it was all connected and he was caught in the crosshairs. But whose game was this and how far would they go to win? The Seattle night burned orange as flames clawed at the back lot of Cascade Hops, Ethan Carter's brewery, on October 16, 2025. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with smoke, stinging Ethan's eyes as he dragged Lauren, his wife of 15 years, from the taproom. Her auburn hair was a tangled mess, her green eyes wild with panic or guilt. Ethan couldn't tell anymore. The gasoline-soaked rag he'd found under her booth, the crackle of fire, and the cryptic text, "You were warned," churned in his mind. At 42, Ethan, a former firefighter turned brewery owner, knew fire's hunger, but this blaze wasn't just eating wood, it was devouring his life. Lauren's betrayal, her plot with Vince, the scarred ex-con, to torch the brewery for a $3 million insurance payout had already gutted him. Now, real flames threatened to finish the job. Cops swarmed the lot, their radios crackling, flashlights slicing through the haze. Ethan released Lauren's arm, his grip leaving red marks on her wrist. She stumbled, sobbing, "Ethan, I didn't start it, Vince did." Her voice was shrill, but her earlier lies, forged signatures, whispered plans on security footage made her words worthless. Ethan's jaw tightened, his firefighter instincts kicking in. "Stay here," he barked, turning toward the fire. A cop grabbed his shoulder. "Sir, it's not safe." But Ethan shook him off, his boots pounding the gravel, the heat already prickling his skin. The backlot was chaos, crates smoldered, propane tanks gleamed like bombs in the firelight, and flames licked higher, fed by something deliberate, chemical. Ethan's flashlight caught a trail of liquid snaking from the tanks, gasoline, its sharp tang cutting through the smoke. His heart pounded. One spark near those tanks, and the brewery would be a crater. He scanned the shadows, spotting a figure near the dumpster, Vince, his ponytail slick, a lighter in one hand, a crowbar in the other, his scarred face twisted with rage. "You're too late, Carter," Vince shouted, flicking the lighter, a small flame dancing in his grip. Ethan charged, ignoring the cop's yell behind him. "Put it down, Vince." His voice was raw, rage and fear colliding. Vince laughed, tossing the lighter toward the gasoline trail. Ethan dove, catching it midair, the metal hot against his palm. He hit the ground hard, mud soaking his jacket, and snapped the lighter shut. Vince swung the crowbar, aiming for Ethan's skull. Ethan rolled, the bar smashing a crate, splinters flying like shrapnel. "She's mine now," Vince roared, his breath reeking of whiskey, his eyes glinting with something unhinged. Ethan scrambled up, his fists clenched, the lighter still in his hand. "Lauren's no one's, she's a liar, and you're her pawn." He ducked another swing, shoving Vince hard. The ex-con stumbled, his boots slipping in the mud, and fell against a metal beam with a sickening thud. His head snapped back, eyes rolling, body slumping limp to the ground, the crowbar clattering beside him. Ethan froze, panting, his pulse deafening. Blood trickled from Vince's temple, pooling in the mud, but his chest was still too still. "Vince?" Ethan's voice cracked, his firefighter training urging him to check, but dread rooted him. Had he just killed him? A scream pierced the chaos, Lauren, breaking free from a cop, running toward them. "No, Vince," she wailed, dropping to her knees beside him, her hands shaking as she touched his face. "You monster, Ethan." Her eyes burned into him, tears streaming, but her grief felt staged, like another layer of her game. Ethan stepped back, his hands trembling, the lighter slipping to the ground. "I didn't mean," he started, but Lauren cut him off, her voice venomous. "You did this. You ruined everything." Cops surged forward, one checking Vince's pulse, shaking his head grimly. "He's gone," the officer said, radioing for medics. Ethan's stomach dropped. Gone? His shove hadn't been that hard, but the beam's sharp edge had done the rest. A freak accident, but Lauren's screams painted him as a murderer. She lunged at Ethan, nails raking his arm, drawing blood before a cop pulled her back. "He attacked me," she shrieked, pointing at Ethan, her face a mask of hysteria. "He started the fire, too." Ethan's vision blurred, rage and disbelief choking him. She's lying, he yelled, gesturing at the gasoline trail. She planned this with him. Check the office, the papers, the cameras. The cop holding Lauren nodded to another who headed inside. Ethan's phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up in his pocket. Another text, same unknown number, run, or you're next. His blood ran cold. Next? Vince was dead, Lauren was in custody, but someone else was pulling strings. Sirens wailed louder, fire trucks rolling in, hoses unfurling as firefighters, Ethan's old brothers in arms, battled the blaze. The flames were contained, but smoke poured from the lot, curling into the night like a warning. Ethan's brewery was scarred, half the back wall charred, but standing. For now. He turned to Lauren, cuffed and sobbing as a cop led her to a cruiser. Why Lauren? He asked, his voice low, broken. What did I do to deserve this? She met his gaze, her tears drying, a flicker of defiance in her eyes. You chose this place over me, she spat. Vince promised a way out, a new life. A new life? With $3 million in blood money? Ethan's fists clenched, but he stepped back, letting the cops take her. The crowd, regulars, neighbors, had gathered, their phones glowing, capturing the chaos. Mia, the regular who'd called 911, stood nearby, her face pale. I heard them last week, she whispered to Ethan. In the taproom, talking about insurance. I thought it was nothing. Nothing? Ethan's head spun. The security footage, the forged papers, Mia's tip, it was enough to bury Lauren, but the texts hinted at a bigger player. Who was warning him to run? He stumbled to his truck, the fire's heat still on his skin, Vince's lifeless slump burned into his mind. Lauren's lies had cost a life, maybe more, and the brewery hung by a thread. As he climbed in, his phone pinged again, a photo this time, sent from the same number, the brewery's front, flames licking the sign, taken minutes ago. Ethan's heart stopped. Someone was watching, waiting, and this wasn't over. He gripped the wheel, his resolve hardening. Lauren would face justice, but first, he'd find the puppet master, or burn trying. Dawn broke gray and heavy over Seattle on October 17, 2025, the air thick with the acrid aftertaste of smoke. Ethan Carter, 42, sat in his battered pickup outside a cheap motel off I-5, his eyes bloodshot, his arms stinging from Lauren's scratches. Cascade Hops, his brewery, was a charred shadow of itself, a half the backlot scorched, the taproom reeking of gasoline. Worse, Vince, the ex-con who'd plotted with Ethan's wife, Lauren, to burn it for a $3 million insurance payout, was dead, his skull cracked on a beam in a chaotic brawl. Lauren's screams, calling Ethan a monster, still echoed in his head, her lies painting him as the villain. The cops had her in custody, but Ethan's gut churned. Those texts, leave Seattle or you'll burn with it, then run, or you're next, and that photo of flames licking the brewery sign, sent just hours ago, screamed of a bigger threat. Someone was watching, and Ethan was done running. His phone buzzed, a news alert flashing, Seattle brewery fire, wife accuses owner of arson, murder. Ethan's stomach dropped. He flicked on the motel's fuzzy TV, and there was Lauren, her auburn hair neat, her green eyes brimming with crocodile tears, speaking to a reporter through a precinct window. Ethan lost control, she sobbed, her voice trembling just right. He attacked Vince, set the fire to cover it up. I barely escaped. The anchor cut in, police confirm Vincent Malone's death as accidental, but Lauren Carter claims her husband's rage sparked the blaze. Ethan's fist slammed the nightstand, the lamp rattling. Rage? She'd forged insurance papers, planned the fire with Vince, and now flipped the script. He scrolled X, his hands shaking, and saw the story exploding. #brewery betrayal trending, strangers spitting venom. Ethan Carter's a psycho. One post read, shared 10K times. But others doubted Lauren, her story's fishy, check the cams. Ethan's pulse quickened. The cams? He had proof security footage of Lauren and Vince plotting, the forged papers, Mia's tip about their insurance talk. He plugged his phone into the motel's Wi-Fi, uploading clips to X. October 12th, Lauren on the desk, saying, torch it clean, we cash out Vince in the lot, rigging propane tanks, the office papers with Ethan's forged signature. He added the texts, leave Seattle, run, or you're next, and a shaky video from a regular's phone showing Vince's fall, Ethan's shove accidental. His caption was blunt, my wife planned to burn our brewery. Vince is dead. I'm not the monster, judge for yourself. The post went viral, retweets climbing to 500K in hours. Comments flooded in, she's a snake. Save Cascade Hops. #brewery betrayal flipped, now a rallying cry against Lauren. News outlets picked it up, airing Ethan's footage, questioning Lauren's story. Ethan's phone rang, Mia, her voice urgent. Ethan, it's on every channel. But be careful, someone's asking about you at the brewery. Someone? Ethan's neck prickled, the latest text flashing in his mind. Run, or you're next. He grabbed his keys, the motel room feeling like a trap. At Cascade Hops, the lot was a crime scene, yellow tape, charred crates, cops milling about. Ethan parked a block away, his cap low, and slipped through the alley. The taproom was dark, the air still heavy with smoke, but a faint shuffle came from the office. He eased the door open, his flashlight catching a figure rifling through files. Joe, his barman, a wiry guy with a nervous tic. Joe? Ethan's voice was sharp. Joe jumped, dropping a folder, his eyes wide. Ethan, just cleaning up. But his hands shook and Ethan spotted a burner phone on the desk, its screen lit with a familiar number, the one sending the texts. Ethan lunged, snatching the phone before Joe could. You're working with her? He growled, scrolling to find messages. Keep him running, he's close, make him disappear. Joe stammered, it's not what you think. Lauren, she paid me, said it was just to scare you. Ethan's blood boiled. Joe, his friend, bought by Lauren's lies? Scare me into what, losing everything? Joe's eyes darted to the door. She's got someone else, Ethan. Vince was just the start. I don't know who, but they're dangerous. A cop's flashlight swept the lot outside and Joe bolted, shoving past Ethan, vanishing into the alley. Ethan pocketed the burner phone, his mind racing. Lauren wasn't just a cheat, she was a spider, spinning a web bigger than he'd imagined. He checked the files Joe dropped, bank transfers, $50,000 to an offshore account, labeled VM Vince Malone? Or someone else? His phone buzzed, a new text from the same number, you can't hide. Check the news. Ethan's heart sank. He flipped to a live broadcast, Lauren, now in an orange jumpsuit, her face pale but composed. I was scared, she said, but Ethan's evidence is fake. He framed me to save himself. The anchor cut to a pundit. If her story holds, Ethan Carter could face charges. Ethan's knees buckled. Framed? His own footage, his truth twisted against him? X was split, half calling Lauren a liar, half buying her act. He posted again, adding Joe's burner phone texts, tagging the police. Lauren's got accomplices. I'm not running, I'm fighting. The post hit 100K retweets, but doubt gnawed at him. The cops had Vince's death ruled accidental, but Lauren's lies were gaining ground. And who was her real partner, the one Joe feared? Ethan slipped out, the brewery's scorched sign looming overhead. His truck's radio blared, police seek Lauren Carter for questioning, new evidence suggests a third party. His phone pinged, a voice message, Lauren's voice, low and chilling. You think you've won, Ethan? You're digging your own grave. The line cut. Ethan's hands shook, but his resolve hardened. She'd played her hand, but he had proof, witnesses, and a fire in his gut. The brewery was his, and no one, not Lauren, not her shadow partner, would take it. He drove into the dawn, ready to face her lies head-on, but a new fear gripped him. Who was pulling her strings, and how close were they? The Seattle sky was a bruised purple on October 18, 2025, as Ethan Carter, 42, stood outside the King County Courthouse, his breath visible in the crisp morning air. His leather jacket was frayed, his arms still raw from Lauren's scratches, but his resolve was iron. Cascade Hops, his brewery, was a scarred survivor, charred but standing after Lauren, his wife of 15 years, and her lover Vince plotted to burn it for a $3 million insurance payout. Vince was dead, his skull cracked in a freak fall during their brawl, and Lauren was in custody, her lies unraveling on live TV. But her chilling voicemail, you're digging your own grave, and cryptic texts, run, or you're next, hinted at a shadowy accomplice. Ethan's viral X posts, exposing Lauren's forged papers and security footage, had turned hashtag brewery betrayal into a firestorm, but her counterclaims painted him as the villain. Today he'd end it armed with truth and a community roaring for justice. Ethan's motel hideout had been a sleepless blur, his phone buzzing with X notifications, 700K retweets, strangers chanting, save Cascade Hops. The burner phone he'd snatched from Joe, his traitorous barman, held damning texts, keep him running, make him disappear. Joe's confession that Lauren paid him to scare Ethan, hinting at a dangerous third player, gnawed at him. The offshore account transfers labeled VM suggested someone beyond Vince Malone. Ethan had turned it all over to the cops, along with Mia's testimony about Lauren's insurance talk. Now he waited, his heart pounding, as Lauren faced her reckoning. Inside the courthouse, the air was stale, the wooden benches packed with reporters and regulars from the brewery. Ethan sat in the front, his cap low, eyes locked on Lauren. She stood in an orange jumpsuit, her auburn hair pulled tight, her face a mask of defiance. Her lawyer, a slick suit with a shark smile, argued she was coerced, a victim of Vince's schemes. My client acted under duress, he said, gesturing to Lauren's tear-streaked face. Ethan Carter fabricated evidence to frame her. Ethan's fists clenched, his jaw tight. Fabricated? His footage, his pain, was real. The prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman, countered with Ethan's evidence, the October 12th clip of Lauren plotting to torch it clean, Vince rigging propane tanks, the forged insurance forms. Mia took the stand, her voice steady. I heard Lauren and Vince in the taproom whispering about insurance payouts a week before the fire. Gasps rippled through the room. Then the burner phone texts projected on a screen. He's close, make him disappear. The judge's brow furrowed and Lauren's composure cracked, her hands trembling. Ethan's turn came. He stood, his voice rough but clear, recounting the betrayal, finding Lauren with Vince, the gun at his chest, the gasoline rag, Vince's fatal fall. I didn't want him dead, Ethan said, his eyes meeting the jury's. I just wanted my life back. A juror wiped a tear, and Ethan's chest loosened. He handed over the offshore account details, suggesting a third player. Lauren's not the victim, he said. She's the architect. The bombshell came mid-trial, a police bulletin interrupted, broadcast on a courtroom TV. Lauren Carter spotted at a bus station attempting to flee with fake IDs, the anchor reported. Ethan's breath caught. Flee? She'd been released on bail hours earlier, pending this hearing. Cops had nabbed her at King Street Station, a duffel stuffed with $100,000 in cash and a one-way ticket to Mexico. The courtroom erupted, the judge banging her gavel. Lauren's lawyer faltered, his argument crumbling. Ethan's ex-post, tagging the police with the burner phone evidence, had tipped them off, leading to her capture. Lauren took the stand, her voice shaking, no tears left. I was scared, she said, but the prosecutor pounced. Scared enough to forge signatures? To plan arson? To flee? Lauren's eyes darted, then dropped. Vince pushed me, she mumbled, but I wanted the money. A new life. A new life? Ethan's heart twisted, memories of their rainy brewery opening flashing, her laugh, now a lie. The prosecutor pressed, and the third party? The offshore account. Lauren's lips tightened, but fear flickered. I don't know his name, she whispered. He found me after Vince. Said he'd handle everything if I kept Ethan running. The jury deliberated only an hour. Guilty, conspiracy to commit arson, insurance fraud, obstruction. Lauren's head bowed, her defiance gone as cops cuffed her. Sentencing was set for next month, but the prosecutor whispered to Ethan, she's facing 7 years, minimum. Ethan nodded, numb. Justice felt hollow when his brewery was scarred, his trust ash. But the third player, who was he? The text stopped after Lauren's arrest, but Ethan's neck still prickled, like eyes lingered in the shadows. Outside, the brewery's regulars mobbed him, Mia at the front, her smile fierce. We're rebuilding, Ethan, she said, holding a crowdfunding link, $200K raised for Cascade Hops. Ethan's throat tightened. He posted one last X update, Lauren's guilty. The brewery stands. Thank you, Seattle. It hit 1 million retweets, #brewery betrayal now a badge of survival. At the brewery, Ethan walked the scorched lot, finding a singed pendant, Lauren's, from their 5th anniversary, glinting in the ash. He pocketed it, not for love, but as a reminder, trust was earned, not given. That night, alone in the taproom, Ethan poured a stout, its foam steady despite the chaos. He didn't forgive Lauren, her betrayal cut too deep, but he let go of the rage. The brewery would rise, stronger, with his community's hands lifting it. His phone stayed silent, no texts, no threats. Maybe the shadow player had vanished, or maybe he was biding time. Ethan sipped, his eyes on the neon sign, flickering but alive. He'd fought Lauren's lies, won justice, and kept his soul. If another fight came, he'd be ready, no one would burn him again.